There's a lot of stats, but some of them can be summed up. So I'm going to give you the run through that is the simplest version of this. Let's level up. Alright, so Vigor deals with health, and you can see on the right hand side my other stats, the substats that it modifies as well, like my physical defense, my defense versus various items, and then Mind deals with your faith points, which is what that FP stands for, but it's basically your magic bar. It increases that, and it also boosts a few defense and body things. And then Endurance boosts your stamina and your max equip load. And also Mind, I believe, will also boost the amount of spells you can activate and equip. And then Strength is going to deal with mostly heavy weapons. It's one of the things that scales with your weapons. I'll show you this later. Dexterity deals with skill-based weapons usually, lighter weapons, katanas, rapiers. Strength usually deals with great swords, great spears, big hammers. And then to have a quality build, you would upgrade them both equally. But I'm going for dexterity. Strength with dexterity, usually in Souls games, 20 is strength is good, and then dexterity you get up to like 40 or 60. There's soft caps to these things, where there's a drop off. You're gonna have to look that up for each skill on the wiki. And then intelligence scales your staffs. Certain weapons scale with intelligence, and it boosts the power of your spells and which spells you can equip. Faith is for miracles and fire spells and some other types of spells. Intelligence also deals with gravity spells, which is a different class of magic under intelligence. Faith, and also obviously you can see on the right hand side that all of these affect your defense. Arcane is kind of like a luck stat in this game. Some weapons it helps with your scaling, but most it doesn't. Primarily what this helps with is your item discovery, and it also speeds up how often you'll get things like bleed or frost, I think. I don't know if frost deals with intelligence, and then there's other things like there's other weapon enchantments that deal with different things like faith. There's faith-based weapon enchantments. You'll see them when you use them. But there you go. And then let me go to my weapons so I can show you what scales with what. Let's go with my equipment. So you can see under attribute scaling, middle column, bottom left of the middle column, up 1 attribute scaling. Strength has a scaling of D, dexterity has a scaling of D. That means the scaling's alright, but it's equal for both strength and dexterity. You can change this with certain Ashes of War and as you upgrade weapons. I have rapiers, which scale poorly with strength, but scale very well with dexterity. And where you'll see this impacted is under the attack power, where you'll see the base damage on the main column, and then it'll have a plus sign, and then another number. And the other number is related to your scaling from either strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, or arcane. And you add that to your total for your base damage. So there's a little run through on how these work. And then when it comes to defense stats, from what I know from previous Souls games, basically what matters is having a slot of armor in each slot. I don't really know if it's very different in this one, but basically that's what you should go for, and try not to fat roll. You'll see your equip load on the far right side. I have a medium load, which gives me a pretty decent roll. Light load will give me a very fast roll, and then if I have a heavy load, rolling will basically be pointless. There's some purposes for it when you get really, really into it. And then poise is another thing. Poise, as that goes up, your ability to absorb damage without getting staggered improves. And then there's various other things different types of armor will deal with. You can see that strike / piercing damage all have very different stats from just physical. All things do physical damage, but things like the rapier, it'll do a thrust attack. So you can see on the very top of the middle column, There's standard and pierce, so that's the type of damage it does, standard and piercing damage. These are all rapiers, so these do standard and piercing. These have a thrusting attack and a slashing attack. So it impacts, the standard attack will impact the standard, piercing attack will do pierce damage, which scales differently with different armor. These do slash damage. And then, let's see, there's another one. Strike damage is done by blunt weapons, like flails, warhammers. There's some special circumstances. Let's see here, what else? I think that's all of them. But yeah, there you go. Look into these things. Here's a good little guide for you.